What is going on? It is Paytoon. Today we're going to look at the story of a girl who is allergic to air, and another story. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, let's get right into this, but before we do start, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and let's get right into this. Alright, let's begin this. Allergic to air.
Hi, my name is Ursula, and I'm 16.
What's up, Ursula?
I have an allergy to air. Go ahead and ask how I'm still alive.
How are you alive?
You won't believe what saved me. Everything started a little more than a year ago. It was an important day. Mum wanted my brother and I to meet her new boyfriend, Josh. The summer was especially hot, and forest fires became more frequent in my state. The city where I lived was covered in smoke. I was riding home on my bike when I suddenly felt that I am unable to breathe. I fell off my bike and a bout of coughing started. How would you feel if you unexpectedly started suffocating? I became very afraid. Some strangers ran up to me. It was then I felt that I was unable to speak. My tongue swelled. They called 911 and I was quickly brought to the hospital for analysis. This is how I found out I am allergic to air.
And how are you alive? I don't get it.
Air cannot be fully clean. So what I am really allergic to is the impurities in it. I didn't have any bouts of coughing at home because we had a special air cleaner. I had to switch to homeschooling, but when I stopped going to school, I noticed strange things. Mum's new boyfriend Josh was quite strange.
Josh, he seems
in the mornings
sus.
he would leave for work and soon after come back and sit in his room for a long time. What kind of job did he have? He told Mum that he worked as an artist, but sometimes he gave her a lot of expensive presents. I then noticed how he would ask Mum for some money. She was so happy
He just wants some money, that's all he wants.
It was impossible to suspect him of wrongdoing, at least at the time. My friends occasionally came over, but their stories made me really mad.
I love her
and
accent.
though my mum and brother supported me, I became depressed. My condition worsened with each passing day, but then he appeared. Tori. He saved me. You think he was a knight in shining armor? My new boyfriend? No. He is a cute golden retriever. But why did my mum suddenly decide to gift me an old dog? Turns up she and Josh found a special dog for me. The thing is, Tori is trained to give warning about allergic attacks in advance. Imagine that. Before that, I had no idea that dogs were capable of such things. I googled it. The dog really could smell changes in the blood and warn me of an oncoming allergic reaction so that I can take action in advance and avoid one. But such dogs cost a crazy amount of money. I was embarrassed to be in front of my mum, but she said she had been saving money for a long time and is happy that these savings will help me. It was so great to hang out with my friends after sitting at home and being sad. I had a special set of medicines I needed to take in case Tori, through his behaviour, were to indicate I would soon have an allergic reaction. Never being apart, Tori became everyone's favourite.
Tori. He reminds me of my dog, Bentley.
That day, Josh took a walk in the park with him, not far from our house, while I was doing homework.
It's gonna happen.
I was gone for a long time.
Josh and
When he
Tori.
came back, he was covered in bruises and blood. And without Tori, he said that he was attacked by 3 men and beaten up. They kidnapped Tori and drove away in a minivan. Of course, the dog was very expensive, but who could have kidnapped him? How expensive he was. We started searching. We told the police and put up signs. I put information up about Tori online, but he wasn't found anywhere. I cried and couldn't calm down. Josh started often disappearing during the evenings. I thought he would be ashamed that he lost Tori. I was
suspicious.
so wrong.
I do not like Josh.
What I found out put me in a state of shock. I decided to talk with Josh. I came up to the bedroom door and accidentally overheard his phone call. I heard him say, I will give you all the money back. I already gave you the dog. He is worth half my debt. Which means Josh was the one who stole my Tori. I barely stopped myself from sobbing. I couldn't believe it. What if there was a good reason for it? I needed to start following Josh right away. I couldn't leave the house and asked my brother to find out where Josh goes to in the evenings.
He's got cool glasses.
He was going to a bar in the centre of the city where he poker for money. It was a popular place where a bunch of urban criminals, pimps and gamers met up. So we found out Josh was one of them. When we told Mum everything, she yelled at Josh. Of course he didn't admit anything. But Mum believed us and called the police. He was released quite quickly as we had no evidence other than my witness statement. Josh forever disappeared from our lives, but my Tori was never found.
Bye, Josh.
Mum promised to sell her car in order to at least be able to buy me a regular dog.
Tori.
But I don't want anyone other than Tori.
I want Tori.
I still hope
It's a good
someone will
dog.
find him, as they will surely try to sell him. Maybe one of you will see a dog that looks similar to him, and you could write a
Tori.
comment letting me know.
My dog
Please
looks like
share
him.
this video, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel.
Okay,
My
next
name is
story.
Maggie. I'm 16 years old, and I'm also quite emotional.
Hi, Maggie.
As a child, I could never finish reading a fairy tale. The prince would marry the princess, and I would hold my breath, and tears would flow like a river. I can't go out in public, and I'm terribly ashamed.
Tears.
Are you embarrassed to cry publicly? One time, I had to leave in the middle of a concert
Sometimes.
that my friends and I had been waiting a year for. And all because of a sad song about unhappy love. I sobbed louder than the soloist sang. My friends laughed at me for a long time. And now I don't go to concerts,
She cries a
performances,
lot.
or
Like,
sad
she's very
films.
emotional.
But I couldn't even imagine what
But I
kind of
am not.
story I was falling into.
Actually, I am.
And all because of my tears. I've always been very weak and feeble. I was sick a lot as a kid. My mum worked several jobs, so there wasn't always somebody to help me. But I was constantly being prescribed
Get sick so
expensive
much.
medications and vitamins. But one time we
Okay,
had
just
some
cry
luck.
some diamonds.
The
I wanna
charity
see that.
foundation found out about my poor health and began to transfer money for treatment. Maybe I was so emotional because I felt sad about my dad. I didn't have one.
Just cry some
According
tears.
to my mother, he
I
left
really wanna
us
see
when I was
how does
young.
she cry
I
tears.
don't remember him at all, but I always missed him and cried constantly. Everybody has a dad, and I wanted to have mine. But my mother strictly forbade even to talk about him. I tried not to think about him and decided to
kinda weird.
redirect
Why?
my unrealized love in a different direction. I adore animals, and 3 years ago, I became a volunteer
Yes,
at a
animals are
local
the
animal
best.
shelter. This is where I
Love
spend
doggos.
most of my time. Recently, I had to find
Look at the
owners
dog in the
for a
background.
cute
He's did a
dog,
flip.
Binky. He was so attached to me, but my mum
Oh,
didn't let us
pug.
adopt him. I made a post on some social networks that Binky was looking for a home, and somebody responded. A guy called Greg,
home?
about 40 or 45 years old, was looking for a
Greg.
dog for his son. Greg was very sweet, but looked tired and a little sickly. He immediately liked Binky, was an ideal candidate, and was
Greg and
interested and
Binky, so
kind,
cute.
but you should never judge a book by its cover. Greg asked me about my volunteering
Never.
because he also loved animals. He was a photographer and had long thought about doing a photo project about homeless cats and doggies. He asked me if I and
Yeah.
some of our rescue
Doggies.
animals would like to be involved. The offer was interesting and could help the animals
Yes.
find a home.
Dude,
I thought about
dogs
it
are the
whilst
best.
Greg invited
Oh,
me
no,
to
they're
check
the
out some
best.
photos in his workshop. I didn't talk to my mum, of course. She would ruin everything. Greg's workshop was in the basement. We went to it to see the photo with Binky in tow. Greg's work was incredible.
Doggy.
He shot random people on the street, but these were masterfully captured moments of everyday life. I praised Greg and his
Looks
work.
amazing.
Then his phone rang and he went upstairs to take the call. The signal was terrible in his basement, he said. It was then that I uncovered the real Greg. I decided to explore his workshop
What?
and wandered into a far corner. There,
Snooping, that's
of
Snooping.
myself. I saw a
Snooper.
photo of me with my mum. It was from about
Creep.
3 years ago
That's
when I
creepy.
still had red hair. When I started rummaging through his papers, I found 2 folders filled with me and my mother. It was like something out of a movie,
Okay,
one
that's
with a
really
crazy
creepy.
person. I was taken aback with horror. Greg had been
Creepo.
following
Creep.
us. I decided it was a high time to get out of
He's a
there,
creep.
but I didn't have the opportunity.
Run.
Greg
Run
had
away.
returned
Never
and was
return.
already approaching me, my throat dry with fear. No one even knew where I was. I had lied to my mum that I was staying late at the shelter. I was terrified as he began to approach.
Shelter.
I started screaming, pushing Greg,
You're dead.
and then,
You're
out
dead.
of nowhere, Binky rushed to my defense, biting Greg's leg,
Binky,
which
yes.
allowed me to escape.
Binky, let's go.
Once home, I began to weep like never before. Suddenly, I felt a wild pain in my
Weepy,
eyes.
weepy.
Instead of tears, crystals dropped
Cry
out.
diamonds.
The feeling was unique, like
Yes.
ice flowing from the back of my eyes. What was happening? I called out to my mum. She came in and shook the crystals together.
It'd be so
in her
weird if you
palm.
just cried
All
crystal and
together,
you're like,
I cried 15 pieces.
What?
It felt like my eyes were going to explode.
15?
Boom! But just
Dang.
then, there was a knock on the door. It was Greg. Can you imagine? My mum seemed to freeze on the spot from
Greg?
surprise.
What are you doing,
He had
creepo?
brought Binky with him and said that they had followed us. Or rather,
Binky.
photographed us in the city. What he said next shocked me to my core. I'm your dad. I didn't
What do you
believe
say?
it, but my mum nodded silently.
Oh,
It was true.
what?
In fact,
So he's
Greg
not a
hadn't
creep.
wanted
Okay.
to leave us. Many years ago, when I was young, he had learned that he had a rare disease, a volatile amino acid metabolism and impaired kidney function. As a result, an abnormally high
Science.
amount of amino acid cysteine accumulated in his body, which formed into crystals. He was told that he wouldn't last long,
Crystals.
and, not wanting to be a burden to my mum and I, had left. But the doctors were wrong. Greg had learned to live with the disease and even began to work as a
And it passed to
photographer.
the daughter,
He'd been
okay.
transferring me and my mum money as best as he could. There hadn't been any foundation for all those years. It had been Dad. I held back my emotions while he told us his
Ooh.
tale, but after, I cried in all my might.
But you shouldn't
Crystals
cry.
came pouring out of my eyes again. Greg was
What?
crying too.
That's
I
crazy.
almost collapsed in surprise at what I saw next. The same two large crystals appearing from
Oh,
his
he
eyes.
cries
We
too.
had the same disease.
Both of them
and
have
I, like
related.
my dad, showed symptoms at a fairly adult age. All my health problems were at the genetic level. Dad felt guilty, not only for giving me poor health, but also a hereditary disease. But that wasn't all.
It's not
I
his
came
fault.
back, not by chance, but because the doctors have given me only 1 month to live. I had just found my dad, and I was going to lose him
What?
again almost immediately.
That's so
I was
unfair.
on the verge of
Dude,
tears,
what?
but my father made me promise him never to cry
Don't
again.
cry.
Dad gave me Binky and instructed me that every time you want to cry, Maggie, look at this dog. Remember, life is beautiful and amazing, but short, so make sure to enjoy it, every moment of it.
That's such a good
My
quote.
dad left that same night, and I never saw him again, but I still keep my promise to him, and I live every day to its fullest. So if you cry at a movie or song
That's
for
good.
no reason, remember my story, and don't waste your tears in vain, even if they aren't crystals.
Don't waste your
Why
tears.
do you usually cry? Tell me in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content.
Like and subscribe.